Welcome to this episode of Hooked on Horses here at Pretty Pony Pastures. You know, some horses get scared real easy and some don't. So today we'll look at some of the ways we can train our horse to be less scary. Think about it. You're riding your horse out on a trail and a bird flies up. You bet you would jump a little bit, wouldn't you? Well, how about your horse? If it jumps a lot, what would happen to you? Right. You or your horse would get seriously hurt. So in this video, we're going to look at some of the things that we do here with our horses so that they get used to noises, things that move, and other things that might scare them. Now, I call it desensitizing a horse. Some people might call it despooking, and others call it bomb-proofing. It doesn't matter what you call it. The idea is the same. Get the horse used to sudden sounds, movements, or being touched by something strange. Have the horse trust you or whoever might be riding him. What I show you today, we do with our horses from the moment we get them. And some of the horses get it real fast and others take a little longer. It all depends on the personality of the horse and, to some degree, you. So we let our horses learn at their own pace. We never make them do something that could make it worse, because if we get them scared trying to do something, then they're going to get more afraid and they'll stop trusting you. And if the horse really tries, even if they don't do it the way we'd like them to do it, we tell them that it's good. So we like to start with getting the horses used to having things on their back and over their heads. We start draping tarps on them. Now this is Buttercup, and she was about 2 years old. And no, we don't start just by draping it on. We start it this way. We take a small tarp and we fold it, and we get them to accept it just like they would accept a saddle. After they'll accept a small tarp on their back, we unfold it and we keep making it bigger and bigger until we can drape the entire tarp over their back. And maybe even sometimes we'll pull the tarp over their head. Now, this horse, she got so used to tarps that she would pick one up and shake it. I guess she was saying she's not afraid of anything. So what else can we do to get them used to tarps and other things? Well, look at this. Once they're used to the tarps, we hang them and ask the horse to walk through them. Sure, they're going to stop, they're going to look. Yeah, this is the same tarp we've been playing with. They might even look under it. Horses don't like to walk into something blindly. They want to know what's on the other side. And so once she decided that it was okay, she walked right through it. No problem, Mom. Now, this did not happen in one session. We worked with this horse for probably a month or two before we could get her used to all the tarps, how they might hang, and then finally walk through it. It doesn't stop with tarps. We also hang things like flags, banners, or pool noodles that they have to walk through. Now, some horses are okay with the things hanging over them, but they have sensitive areas that they don't like to be touched. So I'll start rubbing things on the horse in those areas that we don't touch a lot, like their lower legs or their underside. We had a horse that if you touched her side, she would kick out. And if you're on a trail ride, you don't want a vine or a stick or something touch your horse and have them jump, kick out, or do something worse. So we usually start with ropes. And similar to the tarps, we'll take the rope and we'll just wrap it around their leg, have it touch their underside, just play with it. When they're used to the ropes, we go on to better and bigger things, like this car wash. So watch this. And so here we have a horse. We've got the car wash set up, and we want her to go through it. And she's a little bit on the apprehensive side. She touches it. She says, oh, I'm going to walk around it. So my little trainer there says, okay, you're going to walk around it, but guess what? I am going to turn you. And voila, we've got the pool noodles again. So why don't you walk through it? No, I don't like the pool noodles. I'm going to turn away from it. I don't even want to see it. Well, she says, you don't have a choice. You have to look at these pool noodles and get used to them, because this is what we have in our barn. And so she looks at them, makes them move. No, I still don't want to play with those pool noodles. Well, we can just turn around and look at them again. And so you can see that she's like a little bit perturbed that you keep going back to these pool noodles. So she's going to try to get as far away from them as possible. And so we'll go around the arena a little bit. And let's see what happens. We bring her right back to the pool noodles. And she seems a little calmer now and says, okay, I will go through those pool noodles. Are you happy now? Now here's another horse. And see, neither of these horses were used to pool noodles, so we were training them at the same time. And she's doing the same thing. She's pushing it with her nose. She is doing some nervous displacement there. If I scratch my side, you can't make me go through the pool noodles. And this leader here, this trainer here, got her to back up a little bit and says, well, we can stand here all night if you want, but we're gonna play with these pool noodles. And so she does a little bit more nervous displacement, pushes it with her nose. At least she's not jumping up. She just doesn't like it. She doesn't understand what's going on here and why we're trying to get her to walk through those pool noodles. She looks around a little bit, does some more touching, and let's see if she can get her to go through. Wiggles the reins a little bit, and there we go. She walks through. They even twisted, and she was fine with that. So we tried her again a couple days later. She stopped in the middle, but we didn't see any resistance. She says, yeah, I can do this. Please don't have me do this again. So you can see that when we're training our horse, we do a lot of repetition. They're going to balk at first. They could have gotten scarier, but they didn't. They trusted these girls. Have been working with them for a long time, so they trusted them. They just didn't like the pool noodles. They didn't want to go through them and have them touch it. A lot of people say, hey, you're training horses. Can I come and watch? Well, my answer to them is, yeah, you can come and watch, but it's almost as fun as watching paint dry. And you could see that the horses didn't like it, but the girls got them to go through eventually. And that's typically what we see no matter what we're asking our horse to do. They're going to resist, they're going to try to avoid it, but eventually they do it. Now, I'm also going to stress this. We don't try to get them to do the entire thing at one time. We break it down into small sections. So we are going to just touch the pool noodles. We're going to let it touch them, and eventually we'll get them to walk through. Again, this one took several months before we could get them to do it because there was a lot of resistance. They didn't like the spinning. They were a little concerned, even though those pool noodles are soft, they didn't like it when they had to go through them and have things touch their sides. Today, both of those horses, you can ride them, go through pool noodles, they really don't care. So that's touching over the head, the sides. The other thing is stepping. Horses are very careful where they step because they know that if they hurt their leg, they can't run. This is instinctive to them because they are prey animals. So we work with a lot of different things for them to step on. Now, typically we start with the bridge. We let them sniff it. We let them go around it if they want to, but we always circle them back and have them look at it again. Eventually, they do go over the bridge. The bridge makes a loud sound when they step on it. So they have to get used to hoof coming down and it sounds loud. Once they get used to going over the bridge, we work with the tarp. Well, that magic tarp again. The sound of the tarp is a lot different than the sound of the bridge. It's crinkly. And so that sound sounds strange to the horse. Now this is Gypsy Gold. And again, she was about 2 years old in this picture. We always start them as young as we can. And the first time she stepped on it and backed away, stepped on it, went around it. But if you stay calm and keep asking, eventually they get it and they'll do it. So think about this for a few seconds. I always like to challenge people. we just saw 3 different ways to despook your horse or desensitize your horse, whatever you'd like to call it. Let me give you a little challenge here. You have a horse that wants to buck out if the rider brushes their leg over the rump of the horse. Okay? Mounting block or no mounting block, it doesn't matter. And when the rider gets on, if he or she doesn't lift their leg high enough to swing onto the saddle and brushes the rump of the horse, that horse bucks up. Not a safe situation. So, what would you do? We want this horse, that's a great ride, but we have to be very careful getting on. How would you desensitize this horse so that rubbing against their rump was no problem? Okay? Now, when we did this in the Zoom sessions, I broke everybody out into rooms and they discussed it and came back about 3 minutes later and told me their solution. No, we can't do that today because this is a video, but I know you were thinking about it. What did you think? Ropes, tarp, pool noodles? The answer is pool noodles. And I will tell you, I love pool noodles for training our horses. So here's what we did with the horse that didn't like her rump touched. First, we got the pool noodles and we rubbed it all over her. So she got used to the pool noodle and used to being rubbed in all different areas. Then we took that pool noodle and rubbed it over her back end. Now, I want you to notice this trainer is staying clear of her back legs because if she bucks up, we don't want whoever's next to her to get hurt. Once she was used to getting her rump rubbed with the pool noodle on the ground, we saddled her up, took her over to the mounting block, and did the same exercise over and over again. So we pressed on the saddle a little bit like we were getting on, rubbed the pool noodle over her rump, and eventually she was fine. Today, you can get on her, you can touch her anywhere, you can drag your leg on her rump. There is no reaction. Again, it took several months. It took a lot of patience, but we were able to desensitize her to something that could be a safety issue with her. So desensitizing a horse takes a lot of time, but you know, in the long run, it's really worth it because no one wants to ride a spooky horse or one that's going to run away when it's scared. So take your time if you have a horse that has some issues and work with that horse, desensitize it. You will be very happy at the results that you get if you have the patience and the time. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and share it with your friends. And we'll see you on the next episode of Hooked on Horses.